Part 1. The Day the Data Smirked. Dr. Amara Singh had made a career out of not blinking when the universe blinked. That was the trait her grandmother had called stubborn. Her colleagues at the United Solar Observatory called it unnerving focus. Amara called it keeping the lights on. On a morning that smelled like burnt coffee and stale algorithms, the ultraviolet feed from the solar dynamics monitor hiccuped. A fractional drop in irradiance, 3 parts in a million, flickered across her display. Most researchers would chalk it up to dust on the lens or a bored intern. Amara zoomed in, compared it with data from neutrino detectors and gravitational wave interferometers, and frowned. "That's not instrumentation," she muttered, tapping the side of her mug for emphasis. "That's a real dip." For perspective, she pulled up the baseline. The Sun naturally loses over 350 billion tons of mass every day through nuclear fusion. Those lost hydrogen atoms become the photons that power photosynthesis, Wi-Fi routers, and the occasional beach vacation. Over billions of years, the Sun holds its shape because the inward pull of gravity balances the outward push of fusion. Amara knew those numbers the way other people knew their PIN codes. The numbers on her screen were different. Over the last 6 months, the Sun's total mass, inferred from orbital dynamics, had decreased an extra few quintillion tons, enough to jiggle Mercury's perihelion. Planets respond to gravity like cats respond to an empty box. Any change in the Sun's mass tugged them outward. Earth's orbit had expanded by a couple of kilometers. That might not fry your eggs tomorrow, but it was not nothing. "You're sure it's not a software bug?" Kaito Uzoma asked, leaning into her office with a half-eaten bagel. Kaito ran the neutrino lab and preferred neutrinos to people because, as he said, they pass through you without complaining. "I wrote the software," Amara replied. "When has my code ever been wrong?" Kaito stared at the ceiling, counting. "Do you want that alphabetically or chronologically?" She flicked a pen at him. "Take a look. The neutrino flux is down 5 parts in 10,000. The gravitational constant hasn't changed. Our instruments are fine. Solar output is dimming, and it's not due to natural mass loss." He scanned the data, the humor draining from his face. "So the Sun's losing extra mass and dimming. Maybe this is what early midlife crisis looks like. It's losing mass 1,000,000 times faster than usual," Amara said. Her voice was flat, but her hands trembled slightly. "At this rate, we go dark in about 1,000 years." Kaito swallowed his bagel. "You sure you've slept?" "Next month." She was only half joking. A week later, she presented the anomaly to the International Solar Council. Politicians in crisp suits listened with polite horror while the hologram of the Sun pulsed angrily behind her. "The Sun loses mass naturally due to fusion. Hundreds of billions of tons per day," she began, pointing to the figure with a laser stylus. "That's accounted for in our models. What we're seeing now is over and above that. The mass loss rate is increasing exponentially. If this continues unchecked, our star will not reach its red giant phase in 5 billion years. It will flicker out in a millennium." A senator from the North American Alliance raised a manicured hand. "Dr. Singh, with respect, 1,000 years is still a long time. Perhaps this is just a phase. Maybe the Sun is going through puberty?" The room snickered. Amara looked at him as if he'd suggested painting the Sun with sunscreen. "Stars don't go through puberty. They collapse, explode, or burn out. This isn't any of those. Something is siphoning mass from our star. The numbers don't lie. Your stock portfolio does. Physics doesn't." The senator's smile thinned. Another delegate chimed in. What could siphon off part of the sun? We have no evidence of such technology or phenomena. There is no astrophysical process we know that does that, without leaving a visible trail. No natural process, Amara replied, which suggests an unnatural one. Unease prickled the auditorium. Humans had looked outward for centuries and found only rocks, gas, and microbial fossils. The Fermi paradox had become a cosmic joke. Where is everybody? The cynical answer had always been, nowhere near us. The solar anomaly hinted at something else. Maybe someone was here, and they'd brought a very long straw. Back in her lab, Amara pulled up decades of archived data. She compared sunspot cycles, cosmic ray flux, and neutrino emission patterns. The anomaly had started as a whisper 3 years ago. She overlaid orbital perturbations of the planets and found that Earth's year had lengthened by 20 microseconds. Kaito ran the calculations again. If it continues at this rate, Earth will drift far enough that seasons shift by months within a century. People freaked out when we added a leap second, Amara muttered. Wait till they need leap summers. She didn't sleep for 72 hours. The last time she went home, her cat, Schrody, hissed at her as if she were a stranger. Her father left a message. Stop trying to fix the sun and call your mum. In the small hours, alone in front of a wall of screens, she noticed a pattern in the neutrino data. A periodic dip every 9 days, not like a heartbeat. She cross-correlated it with gravitational wave readings and saw a subtle blip. A ripple in space-time emanating from the sun's core. Not like a starquake. More like a door opening. Her stomach dropped. No, she whispered. No way. She ran the simulation again, this time overlaying the gravitational lensing data from the Event Horizon telescope. Behind the glare of the corona, at a solar latitude of 14 degrees, there was a faint, ring-shaped distortion. It pulsed in sync with the 9-day heartbeat. It had the signature of an Einstein-Rosen bridge, a wormhole. Kaito appeared in her doorway, hair disheveled. Why are you still here? It's 3 a.m. and you look like a ghost. Amara spun her screen. Because I think there is literally a hole in our star. He stared, unblinking. Then he said the only thing he could. Well, that's new. The universe had blinked, and this time Amara blinked back. She'd always hoped the answer to "Are we alone?" would involve a handshake or at least a universal translator. She hadn't expected it to involve larceny. As Kaito put it with a half-smile that failed to hide his worry. First contact, and they're stealing our stuff. Amara looked at the pulsing ring on the display, the heartbeat of some vast conduit she couldn't yet fathom. The sun was dimming, not because it was tired, but because someone or something had poked a straw through space-time and started drinking. She rubbed her temples. This is either the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure, she murmured, or the part in the movie where everyone dies because they ignore the scientist.